steps that we're going to go through to build the interface for the calculator. I've got them written down. Can I give them to you? I will give them to you, but since I just wrote them, they could be filled with errors. And I'd rather go through them and have it work. And if I see anything that's an error, I'll cross it out and then I'll put it, so these will be out there for the next class. Plus, I'm making another copy of it. I've got 2 or 3 already, and I'm going to put that out there. So if you fall behind or something doesn't work or whatever, you'll be able to do this next. You'll be able to grab that next time. All right? Okay. So let's build an iOS calculator today, the interface. So if you're not into Xcode, please get into Xcode, so bring it up. While we're into Xcode, create a new project. It'll be a single view. You can call it whatever you want. I would suggest calling it something like calculator. You know, I've already got one that's called calculator, so I'm just going to type in calculator app. All right? But you can call yours whatever, like I said, you want to call it. Swift, let's keep the device set at iPhone. If you really want to set it for Universal, I guess you can. All right? But iPhone should be fine for right now. Make sure the language is Swift. Once you're there, next. Save it wherever you normally save your stuff. We're going to keep all of the default settings. In other words, we'll try to set it up so that it'll run in portrait mode or in landscape left or in landscape right mode. If you want it to be portrait only, I don't really care. Whatever, you know, it's not that big of a thing. That's why I'm just keeping all the default settings. Okay?
Do we check use core data?
No. Hopefully we'll get to that point by the end of the semester, but that's bringing database stuff in. That's the core data. Okay. Everybody's with me so far, correct? I know we haven't done anything we hadn't already done before. So, all right. Let's open up the main.storyboard file. All right. Again, you've seen this before. You know what it looks like, etc. Okay. I don't really need to have the navigator showing right now, so I'm just putting that there so I've got a little bit more room. All right. At least for right now, I also really don't need this document outline showing, so this will be fine for right now. Okay. So yours should look, again, at least something like this. Now, let me explain to you what we're going to do. So I'm going to use my finger to explain, okay? So if people are watching at home, it won't mean much to them, all right? But we're going to put a label up here. Don't put it up there yet, but we're going to put it up real close, snug up to the top, and we're going to drag it all the way across, okay? And that label, when we get done, we're going to change its width, we're going to change its color, we're going to change its font color, we're going to change its alignment, because really on a calculator, typically, you see the result up here, okay? So that's what we're going to do, all right? After we do this, and you'll have to, like, what I'm going to tell you is you'll want to do this real quickly. Oh, I can do this. And if you don't do it right, when we get all the way done, it won't work. We're going to create one button, and based off of that one button, we're going to create all of our other buttons. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so we'll create the one button, then we'll copy it over 3 times, so we've got a row of 4 buttons. Then we'll copy that down till we got like 5 rows of 4 buttons. But we want to make sure that they're snug and there's the exact same amount of space, all right? What this guy at Stanford did was he's like, okay, I'm going to show you auto layout without having to really show you anything about auto layout. So he had him build it like that, and basically what that did was it made it a grid. And then when he went in and made his settings, he had to just show him minimal stuff. All right? He said, well, the lecture next week is going to be all about auto layout. I haven't watched that one yet. All right? My wife's last night, she's like, aren't you going to bed? She's like, she doesn't like that guy. I don't think she likes his voice. But the first two lectures, he's got a real bad cold. And like the second one, he's kind of talking like this. You know, and she's like, well, you know, she's just making faces at me. So, all right, so we've done that. So I'm going to come down here to, if you don't have the object library open, make sure it's open. Come down here, type in label. All right, grab a label. drag it up snug against the top so it's right there. Everybody see that? Again, nothing we haven't already done. I know that's no biggie right there. And then just let go. Okay? What? So we all have a label now, right? Okay, we all got the label there. You don't have a label there, Travis? All right. So the first thing that we want to do, that label is now snug up against the upper left-hand corner. First thing we want to do is pull on it over here and drag it so it's also snug on the right end. All right, so it's like this. Everybody cool with that? And after you do that, then we want to pull down and make it about that big. Now, how big is that? I don't really care. We could go and we could make it an exact size, but so it looks relatively similar to what's here. Okay? And what you'll notice too, and this is going to be an important point. That's why I want you to look up on the screen here. What we're actually going to do in just a second, you may or may not have done this before. All right, but you know how we do the control drag? We're going to control drag, but we're going to control drag from right here to there, and we're going to pin it to there. Then we're going to control drag from here to there. We're going to pin it there, and we're going to control drag from here to there. We're going to pin it there. All right? And basically what that's going to say is, regardless of the orientation, regardless of the device, take up the entire space. Does that make sense? All right.
Could you also use it?
There's a lot of different ways you could do this. All right. Okay, so we've stretched it. We used the blue dotted lines as our guide. All right. So what in the order in which you do this really doesn't matter, but I'm going to. Of course, you've got to make sure. Now, notice on here, I'm clicking on this and nothing's happening. Sometimes that happens. So if for some reason it's like I'm clicking on a label, nothing's happening, you can always open up your document outline and click on label, and that'll always highlight it. All right, and I'm just telling you that just in case you didn't know it, that's all. All right, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to hold down on control, and I'm going to drag from right here to right there. All right, so when I let go where it says leading space to container margin, the top one there, I want to check that one. Is it leading or top space to top layout? We'll use that one. That should be fine.
Jeff, what'd you do for the?
I don't think that was right. What's that? Control drag, just as we've been doing. All right, so we're control dragging over to here. All right, and that's the one that should have come up. Leading space to container margin. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing, but from my label, again, I'm going to control drag up to the top, same kind of way I just did, let go, and do top space to layout guide. All right. Then I'm going to go over here to the right, and I'm going to control drag. And now I'm choosing trailing space to container margin. All right. Now don't worry, you might have some red stuff in there. That's not that important. All right. We'll fix that in just a second. Okay. Now, does everybody understand that when you see this stuff right here, see this? All that junk that whatever that you've got right there, when the system sees that and you start to create some of your constraints, the system shows you typically those dotted lines that are in another color to show you that's where it wants to put it. It's not really exactly sure where you want to put it, but that's where it thinks you should put it. Again, I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but that's where it thinks that you should put it. Okay? Now, does everybody up here where it says View Controller C, you all have this, a little yellow dot? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I want to show you this is another way that you can set some of this stuff. So go ahead and click on that yellow dot, and it comes up and it's starting to show you what the problem is. All right? It's trying to show you, it's saying, hey, you know, there's something I don't understand here. And what it says is, oh, I expected the height to be this, and that's what the height actually was. In other words, doesn't really understand. Now think about this. And I purposely had you do it in this order. What it's saying is, this label is way too wide for the size of text that you're putting in. That's what it's telling you. But we don't care because we're going to change the size of the text in just a minute. We could have changed the size of the text first. But now look up here. You might have to drag over to see this, but you should have now a triangle where you had a circle there before. All right, you should have a little triangle. And if you click on that triangle, then it says, okay, what do you want to do here? Do you want to update the frame? Do you want to update the constraints? Do you want to reset to the suggested constraints? Do you want to apply all that, etc.? Okay? So it says, number one says, set the frame and the canvas to match the constraints. That sounds pretty good to me. The one that's already, it should be highlighted for you. So I'm just going to click the button that says fix misplacement. And look what it did. All right? Now, it may have actually gone and made it thinner again. Let's not worry about it right now, okay? But let's come over here and let's make it right justified. So where it says label, now push it over to the right by clicking your right justify button here. And label's a dumb word. We're going to put a 0 in there. Somebody tell me why we're putting a 0 in there.
Because we can.
Because we can. But Travis got it. It's because we can.
Placeholder.
Yeah, and normally when you turn a calculator on, that's what you see there. All right? All right. Now, if we want to, we can go in here as an example. We could come in here and we can, again, with our, make sure this is highlighted. Come on. So I can click on it again. And you can come in here. If you don't like the color that's black right there, you could change it to something else. You may or may not be able to tell, but you actually have to slide because the background color is down here. So you're going to have to slide this up if you want to change the background color. All right. John recommends the 2-finger swipe. All right. And notice it's white by default. I made mine gray. All right. And then I came back again and I changed the actual text color or color over here. I changed that to white. Do you have to do that? No, you can do it any way you want. All right. So that's what I've done so far. All right. Okay. Now, let's go and put in our first button. Okay? So, I'm going to come down here to the object library. I'm going to type in button. All right, and boom. And we're going to put that snug up to the other one. And we're using the margins there for a guide. All right, everybody see that? And that's the size right now. Well, it's not really a good size, but I do want to show you something that you may or may not have been aware of. Again, good, bad, or indifferent, there are so many different ways to do all this stuff. I think you know that already. But if you look up on the screen here, and I go all the way over, let's see, if I go all the way over the second one from the right, see where that says up here? Where my mouse is, my cursor is up here? It says size inspector. If I want to, let's assume right now, I want every button that we create to be 80 by 80. You with me? I just want them all to be 80 by 80. So what I can do is I can come in here and I can type 80 and I can type 80. And it will change them. All right? Or we can manually stretch them. I was playing around with it before to see how close I could actually get it. Just kind of eyeballing it, etc. So there's a lot of different ways. But basically what we want to do is we want to make the button a little bit bigger. All right? Do we really even have to do that? Kind of, and I'll show you why in just a second. So I'm just going to literally drag on it a little bit, make it a little bigger, and make it a little bigger there. All right? So you noticed I just did that, and I got 78 by 67. Not 80 by 80, but not bad. All right? Now, the way that the interface is going to look, just so you know, and again, this isn't going to help the people at home, But we're up here is our label, and that's where we're going to put our answer. Okay? Then what we're going to have here is we're going to have a button that looks kind of like that. Then we're going to have, what was it, CE, then C. I got to remember because I should have left the old copy of this that I had up there. So but up here we're going to have 7, 8, that's not an 8, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to remember. I'm just trying to give you the right order here. And I think I had, no, I think I just did it where the asterisk was here. And actually I didn't have an asterisk, I had an X. And then this was the divide symbol. And then this was a plus. And then this was a minus. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the last row, that was a 0. That was nothing, it was just an empty button. This down here,
Oh, yeah, plus minus.
yeah, I think that's what it was. And I think that's minus, that's plus, that's divide, that's times, that's plus minus,
You have like
and that was square root. All right.
a decimal.
No, it'll be set up so you'll be able to use doubles, but we're not going to put in any doubles. Everything that we put in is just going to be whole numbers. You'll still be able to do division and stuff like that, and square roots and whatever. Yes.
I kind of have a dumb question. How do you view the blue line around the button?
How do you?
Just click on the button.
I did, but mine doesn't have a blue line.
If you click off it, click on it again, it probably will. And if you still don't see it, go down there to the document outliner, that button that's down there, if it's not showing, and then click on it from the document outliner. All right, so what I want to do now is a couple things. The first thing I'm going to want to do is I want to change the text that's in there. All right? And for now, just because that's the first one that we're going to put in, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to stick a number in there, okay? Just for now, I'm just going to stick a number in there. So I'll just put in 4. All right, so why did I do that? Because I want that number to be bigger. Okay, so I want to go over to my font, so I'm going to have to go to the Attributes Inspector, and I'm going to have to go to the font size, and I want to make that, I don't know, maybe like about 40. Something like that, okay? So once I go and copy this 3 times, I'm going to have my first row, but instead of it saying that, CEC and plus minus, it's going to say 4, 4, 4, 4. Does that make sense? Then when we get done, we're going to copy it down, so we've got 4 more rows. So we're going to have 5 rows, each with 4 4s in them. Does that make sense? Then we'll manually go and change the stuff. The reason I'm doing it like this, though, and it wouldn't matter what you choose there, but now I won't have to go back and every single time change the font size for each time I do this. All right? And you may or may not be aware of this, because I know that somebody had asked about this. Now, right now, we have not connected up any outlets to this. Right? There's no outlets. We haven't put any code in yet. So it wouldn't matter right now. There's 2 ways that you can actually do this. You can literally do a Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste. I don't recommend doing that. That's a Windows way of doing it. All right? The way that they recommend, they being the people who basically know a lot more about this program than I do, says you highlight it, you hold down on your Option key, and you drag. And you literally have them just about butt up to one another. All right? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab that one, and I'm going to do an Option drag. And I'm trying, see how I'm using the blue lines to make everything stay in sync? All right, and I'm going to do it one more time.
My font changes back to the original size, everyone.
I still don't have
I don't know why your font would change.
What
When
did
you
do?
when you reset it
I set it to 40.
to 40 and you hit enter, I mean you shouldn't even have to do that. I don't know why
It's
I
showing 40 in the.
huh. I'm not sure why that would do that. But hey, you know, again, anything's possible, right? So I've already screwed up. I can tell by looking at these a little bit because what I want is I want them all to look like these two with that amount of space. But see how I screwed up here?
Can you select both of them?
Yeah, there's other ways that there's better ways of doing it than what I'm doing right now. But I'm just kind of cheesing out because I want to get it to work and look right. There.
Well, I you didn't need to
Oops.
delete it, just
No.
select the last two and move them.
Come on.
I can't copy this button sometimes. Go a little more. You're not supposed to make a copy of a copy.
You can make a copy of a copy. I don't know why you couldn't. All right, so I've got 3. I want one more. All right, and again, I want to move that over just a tad. It's not really and truly, it's not probably going to matter very much because in the end, we're going to end up putting our own spaces and stuff between these. But I just trying to eyeball it a little, not letting me move it. So I'm just going to keep it the way it is. Now I'm going to grab this. So I've got all of them highlighted, and I'm going to again do an option, but this time I'm going to go down. All right, so, oh, you. All right, so there's my second one. And I'm going to do another option and drag down again. There's my third one. Again, if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. We'll try to work on it later, okay? All right, option and drag down again. And finally, one more time. All right. Now, I'll give you a second, but what I'd like you to do is don't worry about this one right here. Don't do this one. Don't do this one. Don't do this one, or this one, or this one, or this one. But manually go in and everything that's not circled in red. All right, so all of your numbers, 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 0, etc., all those, manually just put the numbers in there, okay? And you can put the CE in, the C, and the plus minus. Don't do the other ones because I want to show you another way of doing it. All right? Well, that's all we're going to do as a class in just a minute. So that's CE. Plus minus.
Jeff, you got your numbers backwards. Your top row is the
You're right. You're right. Well, one of them was correct.
Can't screw up the middle one.
I would do my best, though. This one I don't want there to be anything there. I want the button to stay, but I want it to be blank. All right. All right. So right now I have 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how I got this to work. And if I'm doing something wrong, I'm hoping I am in what I'm about to show you, because the way I'm going to show you to do this is a royal pain in the butt. Okay? So I'm wondering if there's something that I should be doing that I'm not doing, but I don't know what that is. So you say, what the heck are you even talking about? I'm going to show you that. Take your mouse and click on the button that says 4 in the upper left-hand corner. We want to change that so it looks like this. Okay? It looks like an arrow. That's going to be, that button, when we get done, if I've got 123 in here, as an example, and I click it once, it's going to remove the last number. So in other words, it's a backspace key. Okay? So if I clicked it 3 times, it should change from 123. It should be then 12, then 1, then it should go back to 0. Okay? So we have to programmatically put that in. Not worried about that right now. We're worried about fixing the interface. So you may or may not be aware of this, but if you go up to Edit, you can go down to the very bottom and it says Special Characters. And it brings this something up that looks like this.
I got smiley faces.
Yeah, if you got smiley faces, there should be something over in the upper corner here. There's like a little icon or something that you can click. Yeah, try clicking right on the bottom. Right on the bottom. Okay. When I started doing this, mine came up right here, right in, right where my thing itself was. But I found out if I just went back and clicked on this again, normally it comes up right here. That's where it's supposed to come up. All right? So you might say, whatever, Jeff. Why are you even showing us this? Okay, well, notice, for example, when you look over here on the side, if you look up on the screen, where I got the hand right now, there's math symbols. Okay? I can sit there and manually put in stuff that's on a regular keyboard, or I can use the actual mathematical symbols. If yours doesn't look like this, all right, in fact, let me just walk around and see what yours does look like. You're there. That's, I'll show you where we'll log it right where you are in just a second. No, not you, but I mean, I knew something like this would happen inside right on something like this. But I wanted to show you this. So, yeah, that's it right there at the top right next to search. Yes. Okay.
I got it.
Got it? Okay. Did you get it? Okay. Yeah, it was up here, right next to search. It was that thing right there.
Yeah.
All right? Okay. Well, the one that we want to use is an arrow. Well, if I go over here to arrows, and I look around long enough, you know, I might have to go and look and look and look, and I'm just going to grab one. Okay? Everybody with me? So we can always change this later.
Scroll down and find left-hand arrows.
What is it scrolling down? Okay, there you go. That's the one I want, is this chunky one. All right, so I scroll down. I use 2 fingers, John. You're proud of me. I scroll down, and I want to use this chunky one. Now, I watched the guy on one of these videos do it, and all he did was click, and it, boom, it put it there. I couldn't get that to work no matter what I tried to do. I could click and drag, and I could put it in here, and then when I let go, it just wasn't there anymore. So what I ended up doing was clicking on there and literally putting it in the box up here, you know, where right now where it's got the number 4. You understand what I'm saying? So I dragged it up there. I tried double clicking. If it works for you double clicking, then go ahead and do that. I tried double clicking. I tried triple clicking. I tried everything I could think of clicking, and nothing seemed to really work very well.
It works for me when I have it highlighted.
It does. So mine's highlighted.
Well, highlight the 4 itself.
I did that too. That's what I'm saying. I have no problem at all.
You can double click on just the 4.
Yeah,
It'll bring
it's
up like
Ah,
a text
did
field
it.
area.
All right, so click on there.
Yeah,
Now do what?
yeah, no.
Now do what?
Click the 4 still.
Click the 4 again.
Yeah, like double click it. So it's like a, yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Now double click your arrow.
Click the small one, I think. Small
The
arrow.
small icon.
Small icon.
The one, the fat one that you told us to click on down.
Right here. Oh, down here you mean. Okie dokie. Groovy. Okay. Well, that's good. That's the first one. And again, I'm not worried about the size or anything. We can always fix that stuff later. But now, if we go down or go over to mathematics symbols, again, you might have to go up or down to find them. And you look, I used that plus sign, that minus sign, the X for multiply, and that for divide. You can use that one for plus minus too if you want to. That's actually a more true plus minus than the one that I did manually. But I used these and these. All right? And there also is a symbol in there for square root. All right? And the idea is MAC is really big. If you haven't heard this before, if you've ever heard of the acronym HIG, Human Interface Guidelines, all right? What they're saying is, the idea is, if you use one of these mathematical symbols, they're supposed to scale better than if you use a regular plus sign from your keyboard. That's why they recommend that you use these. Does that make sense? All right. And it's not that I was trying to waste your time by going through this. Okay. So what do we got left? We've got our symbols then down here. So if you can, again, you can either leave this the way it is, right here, the plus minus, or you can choose that one if you want to. It's up to you. All right. And then put your X there. That X is this X. That divide is this divide. That plus is this plus. That minus, I use that minus. And then I found the square root key. Does all that make sense? All right. Now for the square root key, you can search and find it that way. All right. So I just literally in the search bar or search box, I typed in square root, and I want to show you after I get done with that another way that you can put in a square root. And I found it because I was screwing around one day trying key combinations, and it just happened to come up. All right. So I think I've got all mine done now. Okay? That makes sense to everybody, what we just did? Everything's supposed to make sense to you there, buddy.
Hey, no, my,
Font
after I
still?
brought up those arrows, they just disappeared. And then I had to bring them back and they disappeared again.
No, we're not going to have an equal sign in here yet. Don't worry about that. All right? This is just round one. All right?
And on top of it, I had to change every number so it was the right size.
It's just not working for me today, Joe.
I'm suffering from androiditis today.
It's just our well.
It's Android hangover. Okay, what I'm going to do next, and you can do this in different ways, just so you know. Which way you do it is up to you. You can kind of do it the way we do it in Windows land, where you sort of draw that invisible lasso around this stuff, all right? Or you can literally click on the buttons one at a time, holding down on the Shift key, but I want to highlight all the buttons. Does that make sense? I want you to highlight all 20 of the buttons now. So again, I'm holding down on the touchpad and I'm dragging to highlight all of them. Does that make sense? All right, whichever way works best for you, go ahead and do it that way. It doesn't really matter. Am I right now? Everybody have that chosen? Even the slow kid in the back? This.
I'm going to be your special project this semester.
All right, with that done, now we're going to go and we're going to click the pin menu. Okay, couple things. When we get all done with this, we're going to have like 90 constraints. Just so you know. Think about it. We've got 20 different things here. All right? The first thing that we want to do, and when we get done with this, don't click the button here that says add constraints until we're all done. Please. Otherwise, you're going to have to remove the constraints and re-add them, unless you really like doing that. But with all of them highlighted, the first thing we want to do is we want to click the button for equal widths and equal heights. And what that will do is it says that as we change from different emulator to emulator, or we run it on an iPad as opposed to an iPhone, we're saying that we want those buttons to always be the same size. So they should scale together with one another. Does that make sense? All right. So that's the first thing. Now, the order in which you do these isn't really going to matter, but we want equal widths and we want equal heights. All right, so notice that already, we're up to 38 constraints already. All right, and also when you're doing this, because believe it or not, we're going to clear this constraint out later, because I did have you do it in the wrong order and it's going to be too thin, but it's okay. Make sure that when you're doing this, if you look up on the screen, don't choose the label 2. Did you hear that? You probably didn't, but you didn't want to choose everything, including the label. All right? So, we're getting there. So that's equal widths and equal heights. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put basically about 8 pixels in between each button. So we're going to put in 8 in each one of the boxes. And notice as I'm moving from box to box, and I'm putting an 8 in each one, and I move up, it's highlighting the red little I-bars for me. If you put 8 in each one of these, and any of these are not highlighted, then click on the thing to highlight it. Just putting an 8 in there doesn't do diddly. All right? I'll probably screw stuff up. All right? So if you really want to practice doing constraints over and over again, I suppose that's one way that you could do it, but I don't really think that you probably have the desire to do that. All right. When I did this last time, when I built it the first time, I had everything really symmetrical. I mean, everything was exactly the same distance between it, etc. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now I've got 102 constraints. You might have a different number. The first time I did it, I had 93. So don't worry about it. It should be somewhere in that area, okay? I mean, if yours says 1 constraint, probably didn't do it right. Now, when all that's up there, now click the add whatever number constraints. And your screen's going to look pretty ugly. Okay? And don't let that bother you. You look, oh my God, what do you mean don't let it bother me?
I know.
You know, it looks like something threw up. We're going to fix it in just a minute. What it's trying to do in the red is it's trying to lay out, so it says, oh, button, 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 etc. See what I'm saying? It's trying to lay it out for you. Okay? And we're going to let it in just a minute. Okay? Now, let me ask, with you, I've got a red dot here. Anybody else have a red dot? Is yours yellow? You might have to even drag over to be able to see it, or make sure your document outlines is up and open. Is yours yellow? Okay. Because red usually means bad, bad. All right? So Jeff may have even screwed up. So we're going to check. So I'm going to click on that red thing. Usually that means that there's something in there that's irreconcilable. So I've got equal heights. Yeah, it doesn't. There's a few things in here that it doesn't like. See that? So I've got some inconsistencies there. Okay? So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. All right? I'm going to delete that. You don't have, what I'm going to do right now, you don't have to do this. But I'm going to come back and I'm going to highlight everything. All right? I literally want everything highlighted. So I want the label highlighted. I want all of my buttons highlighted. Again, you don't have to do this. And I'm hoping I didn't miss anything. Well, that was interesting anyway. All right. And I'm going to come back down here to my Resolve Auto Layout Constraints. I'm going to try to, come on. Come on, open up. And I'm just going to say Clear Constraints. Okay? So I'm back to where I was when I started. Again, the only reason you should have to do that is if you get something that looks like this. All right? All right. So I'm going to come back and just take a look at what I've got here. First thing is, now I can move this. So the first thing I want to do is grab this, and I'm going to move it down a little bit. Okay? Why am I doing that? Because this right here, and I don't know, it looks like I still have a constraint on there, and I don't want any constraints. All right, I wanted to clear every constraint. Now I should be able to come into here and actually make this wider. Come on. That's how I told you I wanted it before. Okay. All right. So I'm going to come back to that one, just that one for right now, and see if we can do what I tried to show you before. That is, drag up, top space to top layout, boom. Control drag over to here. Leading space to container margin. Trailing space to container margin. Okay. All right. And now I can come back, and this is only 17. I wanted that to be about 50.
So then do we have to redo all of
No,
that?
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. What we'll do next week, these are the right steps. Okay, what I'm giving you are the right steps. I'll go back and rewrite it between now and the weekend. So because some of the stuff I copied in here, one thing I put in the wrong order, and that screwed a lot of things up from the start. But I've already got this built, so you'll have your choice. You can either use the one I have, add your own colors, add your own font type, or whatever, or you can go back once you have the exact steps that are in the right order, and you can do it from scratch yourself. So you'll be able to do it either way. Okay? All right. That's what I wanted when we started. Okay? And all I've done is just basically hose a lot of different things up. But again, what was supposed to happen, and I showed you this before, but I just want to show it to you one more time. Yours works? Yours looks okay? Okay. Yeah, if you did that and you've got that yellow thing that's up there, instead of the red one like I showed you, if yours was yellow, you should be able to click on that and it'll show you a bunch of things that are out of whack. You can then click on any one of those and tell it to fix itself, and it'll fix all of them. All right, you can tell it to fix all views. All right, so the idea was when you did that and you got all done, let me close this one. All right. Close a few things here. That's what it's supposed to look like when you get older. Okay, I shrunk it down. But that's how everything should have looked if you would have followed the instructions that I gave you. Again, you may have chosen a different color for your background or whatever, but that's the way it was supposed to look. What I did was I went back and rebuilt this from last night because when I did it last night, it worked like a charm. But of course, I didn't write anything down. So I tried to rebuild it right before class while I was writing the steps down. And I think I intersposed a couple steps, and that's what screwed things up. So again, what I will do between now and next class is two different things. First, I'm going to take this copy that already works, and I'll put it out there on the system. Everybody hear that? Now I got to clean it up because I've already got code in there, and I don't want you to have the code.
Aw.
All right? Oh no, that's fun. All right, but hopefully at least you agree it's not beautiful, but it's functional and it doesn't look bad. All right. You know, it kind of has a calculator type of look to it. That's all I'm saying. Now we could come back in here. When I made my first one, here I'll show you this is what I started with. I've got to remember what I call the original one. I think it was calculator 1. I literally grabbed the Windows calculator, and that's what I was working with. Whoops. Bring that down. Come on down. Come on down. With you. So at first, that's what we were going to work with. And I didn't know, this was before I found that special character, so you can see that. All right? So I grabbed this right from the Windows calculator. Okay? And memory clear. I don't remember what these two stand for, but memory add, memory subtract. Backspace, clear all or clear everything. Clear just what's in there. Change sign, square root, 7, 8, 9. You get the idea. All right? And what I'd like to do eventually is to make all of that stuff work. But then I thought, well, maybe we were biting off a little bit more than we could chew. So let's just cut it down to what I cut it down to. If we can get that to work, great. And in fact, I'm willing to even give you the code to get that to work. Then what I'd like you to do is go back and see if you can go back and add this stuff. All right, so we'll put in, if there's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 30 different buttons in there. All right? And I wasn't really worried right now, but what I didn't implement yet, all right, I was playing with the memory stuff. The clear stuff is really cool because I got to learn a lot of different functions and stuff, and I've been trying to write some of it using Objective-C. All right, why would you do that? Because with some of the stuff, you either have to write a boatload of functions or you can call built-in stuff that exists in Objective-C. All right, so rather than write my own stuff, I was trying to find some stuff out there that worked, okay? And I've got it to the point where, like, if I run this one, I can put any number I want in there, all right? And I can do the operations, so I can click the plus sign, etc., but it isn't all wired up yet, all right? It was, and then I made some changes to it. Don't do that, all right? That's why I said I'll give you the code. I don't care. But then I'll say, now I want you to go back and add this stuff too. So that's what we'll do on Tuesday of next week, all right? So what I'll do, hopefully at least sometime this weekend, all right, is if I get time at least, by Tuesday, what I'll do is I'll start from scratch and I'll record myself from scratch going through this. Okay? So you'll have that. I'll have the steps out there, and I'll put those out there in next Tuesday's folder. All right? Now, if you're interested, just so you know, let me unhook this. In fact, I'll just go over to here. There we go. If you care, all right, this is the, just so you see them. Let's see, I'll try to show you this picture. That's the guy who teaches the Stanford stuff. All right. What I love about this more than anything else, okay, think of Blackhawk Technical College. Yeah, there's a panoramic shot of Blackhawk, right? Because they just show Stanford from a distance, you know, and then they zoom in and zoom out on it. And I'm thinking, man, to work at some place like that. But what I put out there today in the folder with today's date on it, just in case you care, all right? These are the YouTube URLs to this guy's first 4 lectures. Bless you. I've watched 1 and 2. I haven't watched the rest of them. And they're not short, just so you know. They're anywhere between an hour and 5 minutes and an hour and 20 minutes apiece. And he just talks. He doesn't give breaks. You know, he talks and then basically the class is over. Their classes there, evidently, they meet twice a week and they're on a quarter system. So they're done in like 2 or 3 weeks. Because it started like January 5th. Yeah, they're done in a couple weeks. Again, I went out, just so I told you this, I'm just being honest with you here, because I went out to YouTube and I typed in Swift calculator tutorial, looked at some of the stuff that was out there. Some of it was pretty good, some of it was not that good. I think this is the one. Let's see. That's the little kid. That's the kid who taught himself. That's the one that he built. And it's funny because somewhere in here, and I even marked it at home, I think it's about 17 or 18 minutes, he goofs up and he says SH. And I don't think he even realizes he says it in here. But he's a little kid, and when you hear a little kid, it makes me laugh. I don't know why, but it did. So he did some different stuff. So that one's about a half an hour. Like I said, this one's an hour and 13 minutes. The thing I like about this guy, he's not full of himself. And let's look at him. He doesn't need notes. The guy just, he talks off the cuff and he just keeps talking. Yeah, just like you, Jeff. No. It's like I said, I've never gone an hour and 13 minutes and 48 seconds without giving somebody a break. My guess is the class is an hour and 15 minutes because most of the time you can hear people getting up to leave at the end. And literally, if you go out, I just want to show you, the last thing I'll show you, I'm done. So this is it. It's CS193P, iPhone application development. And the only reason I'm showing you this is, first of all, hopefully you know this. You don't need a Mac to run these, because I've got iTunes playing on not on this machine, but I got it playing on my machine at home, and I never have any problems with it, except it always wants to update. All right, but this doesn't look like where I got into it, but someplace in here, I guess that's not it. Let's see. Syllabus downloads fall 20. Yeah, this is the old one. That's it. All right, so this is where he is already. Like I said, there's a lecture. That one was a lecture. That one was a lecture. And you can see they're all ones with sizes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's already had 11 lectures. I haven't been able to figure out yet. Maybe it's just because I haven't tried hard enough. He claims that the slides are out here and they're available, but I haven't been able to find them. All right, his slides are not real extensive, all right, because he goes over them during the lecture. But he also, the class meets twice a week. They meet Mondays and Wednesdays. That's the stuff that they tape. That's the stuff he puts out there on the system. They also meet Fridays. That's only for people who are paying for the course. Because like he did a big thing on debugging, but he said, those of you who are not paying on iTunes, you don't get this. You know, he tells you that right away. So, but, you know, for the price, for free, it's pretty darn good. Quality is really good. I will tell you, just so you know, with the ones that I just gave you, the ones that are out here, not those, but the ones that I showed you from the folder, all right, these about every 15 to 30 minutes, it comes up because, I don't know if they're trying to get them, it's something with ads, where an ad will pop up right while you're watching this, and it'll be one of those where it starts to do the ad that says in 5 seconds you can click here to stop the ad. But it didn't happen at all in the first one, but it happened 5 times in the second one. So I don't like to watch them off YouTube. I'd rather watch them from iTunes because you don't get that stuff. All right. So at least you have some kind of an idea where we're going to attempt to be going here. So Tuesday of next week, everybody will have the interface. Either I'll give you time to build it yourself, or you can use the one that I've done, and we'll start adding the code to it. All right?